Doris Is Coming. Short story by Z.Z. Packer. She walked from Stutz's and up along 4th Street. When she got to Claremont, the street where she lived, she kept going, past Walnut and Chestnut and all the other streets named after trees. She hit the little business district, which was still lit for New Year's. The big, incandescent bulbs on wires, like buds growing from vines, entwining the trees and lighting the shop facades. When she walked farther, she felt for the first time some purpose other than solitude motivating her. She rushed and did not know why, until she found it. Clovey's 5 and dime. As soon as she saw it, she knew what she was doing. It was warm inside, and she made her way to the soda fountain, even warmer from the grill's heat. A white man stood at the ice cream machine and whirred a shake. 2 white men sat at the counter and talked in low, serious tones, occasionally sucking up clots of shake through a straw. There was one waitress, hip, propped against the side of the counter, wiping the countertop with a rag that had seen cleaner days. Without looking up, she said, "Sorry, we don't serve colored people." "Good," Doris said. "I don't eat them." She remembered Helen telling her that this was the line someone used during a sit-in, and Doris was glad to have a chance to use it. The waitress frowned, confused, but when she finally got it, she laughed. "Seriously, though," the waitress said, turning solemn, "I can't serve you." The 2 men talking looked over at her and shook their heads. They began talking again, occasionally looking over at Doris to see if she'd left. "What if I stay?" The waitress looked to the man making the shake, eyes pleading for help. "I don't know. I just don't make the rules, and I feel sorry for you, but I don't make 'em." The man walked over with a shake and gave it to the waitress, who bent the straw toward herself and began to drink it. "Look," the man said to Doris, "I wouldn't sit here. I wouldn't do that." "You wouldn't?" "I wouldn't if I were you." She sat, shaking. She brought out her world history book. She'd made a book cover for it with a paper bag, and she was glad she'd done it because she was sweating so much it would have slipped from her hands otherwise. She set it on the counter, opened it as if she did this every day at this very shop, and tried to read about the Habsburgs, but couldn't. It occurred to her that other students who did sit-ins were all smarter than she. They'd banded together and had surely told others of their whereabouts, whereas she had foolishly come to Clovey's all by herself. She stared at her book and didn't dare look up, but from the corner of her eye she noticed when the 2 men who'd been talking got up and left. The man at the ice cream machine made himself some coffee and beckoned the waitress to him. When he whispered something to her, she swatted him with the rag, laughing. Once Doris felt the numbness settle in her, she felt she could do it. She tried at the Habsburgs again. The waitress said, "Student? High school?" "Yes, ma'am. Central. My daughter's over at Iroquois. We played them last Friday." Doris didn't know what the scores were, didn't care, but had heard about the game over the intercom. "Well," the waitress started wiping the counter again, going over the same spots. When Doris closed her book about to leave, she said, "I just want you to know I'm leaving now. Not because you're making me or because I feel intimidated or anything. I just have to go home now." The waitress looked at her. "Next time, I'll want some food, all right?" "We can't do that, but here's half my shake. You can have it. I'm done." The shake she handed over had a lipstick ring around the straw and a little spittle. Doris knew she wouldn't drink it, but she took it anyway. "Thanks, ma'am." Outside Clovey's 5 and dime, the world was cold around her, moving toward dark, but not dark yet, as if the darkness were being adjusted with a volume dial. Whoever was adjusting the dial was doing it slowly, consistently, with infinite patience. She walked back home and knew it would be too late for dinner, and the boys would be screaming, and her father wanting his daily beer, and her mother worried sick. She knew that she should hurry, but she couldn't. She had to stop and look. The sky had just turned her favorite shade of barely lit blue, the kind that came to windows when you couldn't get back to sleep but couldn't quite pry yourself awake.